Well, good Monday morning to you. Welcome to our Monday morning live edition of the Doctor's Nutrition Show. I'm your host, Jim Tabor, along with Doctors Jim and Janine Fox of Doctor's Nutrition, located on Calamarain Road in Gulfport, just south of Pass Road. We do this every Monday morning, and it is 99.9% of the time, it is a live call-in show. Every now and then, we take a day off. But anyway, what the show's all about, well, we usually have a subject we talk about, and we invite you to call in and ask any questions about that, or if you had any other questions regarding health, because the show's all about trying to help you live a healthier lifestyle. Our phone numbers are open at 896-0713 or 800-349-0713. You just pass your question along to our producer, and they'll pass it along to us. April is recognized as National Stress Awareness Month to bring attention to the impact of the negative impact of stress in our lives. So that's what we're talking about this morning, stress.
Yeah.
And how things can could cause you to be stressed out and like you would not believe or whatever necessarily.
Basically. Yeah.
What is stress?
Well, stress is a normal human response to anything that's unusual, challenging, demanding, other than routine, normal life, okay? Anything like that can be a stress to the body. And, it can cause all kinds of problems.
It can affect almost any system in the body.
Right.
Cardiovascular, GI. We see a lot of people with stomach issues when they've had a lot of stress.
Right.
So you see a lot of, they even show that it can affect endocrine system, it can affect the cardiovascular system, it can affect the immune system, it lowers the immune system, it affects a lot. And stress is one of those things that unfortunately everybody probably has some.
Oh,
so
definitely.
I even said, does people have to really be aware of stress? Because I think everybody knows it's out there. But, we were just going to talk about maybe some of the things that you can do to help handle that stress and make the stress easier on the body.
Are there any common signs of stress?
Everything from headache,
yeah.
tension, fatigue, irritability, anxiety is the
Depression, anxiety.
Anxiety is probably one of the biggies. It really is.
Anxiety is probably what we see the most in people that are
yeah.
stressed. They're very anxious on top of it. But depression can go with it. Sometimes it does, sometimes it don't.
Yeah.
So it just depends on the person. Because I have a lot of people that say, they say they're anxious, and I'll say, well, are you also depressed? And they'll say, well, some people say yes, and some people say, no, I never feel depressed. I just feel really anxious.
Right.
So everybody's a little different, and everybody handles it a little different. I find that men and women handle it different.
And interesting that April is Stress Awareness Month. We roll into May, and it's Mental Health Awareness Month.
Right, which
So
they're
like
tied together, hand in hand. There's no
Got
doubt.
some trend going there.
Yeah, really. Take care of it all at one time.
Yeah.
So how do we deal with stress?
If you Google it, okay, then they're going to tell you, well, do some
Which is
Pilates.
what I did.
Yeah.
Okay, and they're going to tell you, well, let's do some Pilates or let's do some
meditation.
I'll be honest with you. If it's something that's really stressing me, the last thing I'm going to do is meditate, okay, because I'm thinking about what the heck is stressing me.
Right.
That's the thing. That's one of the problems.
It's a good thing to do. It is just hard to really do.
Right.
Everybody says the same things, but it does make it hard to do when you're truly having stress.
I think those are the feel-good things. Okay,
Yeah.
let's tell you to meditate.
Exercise,
Yeah.
go have fun.
Yeah,
Now, I
those
agree
that
with
do
exercise.
yoga all the time,
Yeah.
they probably are more apt to be able to get into that mantra and
Yeah.
do all the everything.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know.
Now, relaxing is a big thing. Now, another thing that really does probably make a difference is a lot of the people that we see stressed, they're overwhelmed, and they constantly are saying, I have so much stuff to do. Big thing is make time to do something for yourself. And so take that time to relax and step away.
Yeah.
Because that does make a difference when you're really
I
stressed.
saw something on Instagram over the weekend talking about stress, and they said one of the greatest things is set time. Even if you have to get up a little bit earlier, set time in the morning for like maybe 15 minutes. Just go outside with your cup of coffee or whatever, and just sit and relax and just
See, we do that. We
do that
every morning anyway. We do that every night when we get home. So it's it's quiet. We don't turn on the TV. We don't turn on anything.
Nope.
It is quiet.
And I think that's
And we've done that for years.
She kind of I get up in the morning usually before her, myself and the dogs. So we get up, I go in the living room with the puppies, and I'll get a cup of coffee. And I won't even turn the lights on.
He sits in the dark.
I just sit. Well, there's lights, from the kitchen or whatever, But it's it's my dark time, So I'll just kind of sit there, and I don't want to take my phone and maybe see what's the news, what goofy stuff's going on there. I just kind of get chuckle out of that sometimes because some of the crazy stuff is happening. But anyhow, that's what I do. That's kind of a me time, so to speak, for that, simply because I don't want to, turn on TV and see all the stuff there. I just want to kind of like, okay, chill. And I think it's a really good idea to do that. If you chill before you jump out of the airplane, it's a good idea to collect your thoughts. Remember where the ripcord is.
Yeah. Definitely with that one, because and I pretty much do the same thing when I get up, let the puppies out, and make sure they're fed and everything, and I'll sit down on the couch, my cup of coffee. I normally have the news on, but a lot of times I'm just kind of halfway listening to it, so I'll check my email and all that.
And actually, speaking of puppies, animals have been shown to be very good for stress.
Oh, yeah.
They are.
So it's actually a very good thing you can do. If you don't have an animal, it is a really good thing to have one to help with that stress, because they do help comfort you.
Yeah.
And so that is something that you can do
I
to
have
help
3,
with stress.
so I should be the most mellow person in the
Yeah,
world.
and then you have to walk them, and you got to do your, do all your stuff. But so it does help to have animals. It helps to relax. It helps to have animals. It helps to meditate if you can. It does help to exercise, because
exercise is probably the easiest one to do, because if you're, a punching bag is really good.
Yeah.
It's a really good idea. It's a great exercise too, and just take out your frustrations. You got all this mental stuff built up, and just beat the hell out of something or somebody, with the punching bag, because it gets it out of your system,
You got a punching bag at your house?
Huh?
No, he don't do that.
I don't do that.
Oh.
No, I'll take a hammer and.
No,
You've got plenty of projects that you're working on all the time.
Yeah.
He's got tons of toys, but he don't have a punching bag, so he don't have that.
If I got a punching bag, it'd be bad.
Yeah.
Oh, mercy sakes. But and talking about the animals and everything, because with me, I've got the Chihuahua, the Pomeranian, and the cat.
Yeah.
And the cat's the matriarch. She's 18 years old, but she'll get very vocal sometime. If you get home, and the things, I just often wonder, what would it sound like if she could tell on the dog sometimes, because she'll come to the door and go meow 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 meow.
Yep, she's trying to tell you something.
She's trying to tell you something.
Going on there, but they're the greatest stress relievers, and
they really are.
They are. So actually,
really are.
and having a friend or having a person, that's another thing. Isolating yourself don't usually help.
No.
You might think it does, but it doesn't. No. So that's one thing that you shouldn't do, is isolate yourself. And like I said, if you don't have an animal, get one. And some people don't want the stress of an animal, but to me, they help more than they cause stress.
And one thing that I had at one time years ago, and they can be a little bit of maintenance, but they're great, is an aquarium. with the fish and just
watching the water.
Watching the water.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're talking about stress this morning. You have any questions, give us a call, 896-0713, 800-349-0713. 8 minutes after 9 o'clock, we'll take a break. We'll be right back with our second segment this morning. And welcome back. 10 minutes after 9 o'clock on this Monday morning. We're talking about stress. 896-0713 or 800-349-0713 on how to deal with it, how to control it, live better with it. Because like we said, everybody's got some kind of stress in their lives.
Yeah, and the thing about stress too is our other than conscious mind doesn't know the difference between real threats and so on, or an imaginary. So in other words, the saber-toothed tiger is always the thing chasing you. That's a big stress, and that would be a big stress, I have to admit. And in the body, your brain really can't tell the difference if it's an imaginary saber-toothed tiger or a real one. And so, it's really kind of hard to deal with it simply for that reason.
Well, I had some stress thing happen. This is kind of funny. In the middle of the night the other night, when my babies go to bed, they have their own bedroom. The puppies go in their own pen, and the cat has their own bed in there, and I close the door.
Yeah.
And I go get in my bed and go to bed. About 10 o'clock, I feel something walking on my feet, and it's like your whole body feels like all of a sudden, what is this?
Yeah.
Turn on the light. I had forgot to close the door, and the cat was going to walk around.
That is actually acute stress. When something happens right then, and you have stress, that's more of acute stress.
Yeah.
Now, chronic stress is what causes so many health issues. Our body is equipped to actually handle acute stress. I mean, to a degree.
Are there ways to release it from the body?
Huh?
Are there ways to release it? I mean,
Well,
I guess
there's
exercise.
a lot of things you can do. We're going to talk about some of the supplements you can take in a minute, and also, like sometimes with a stressful event, if it is bad enough and it is traumatic enough, it can actually increase chronic stress even if the situation is over. I've seen that a lot over the years.
Time and time
where
again.
people have something happen and they just can't get over it. They're like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm not stressed anymore. I don't understand why I still feel this way. Well, when we check their lab work, we usually see really high cortisol, which we do check cortisol on all of our panels, which is the stress hormone. And when your body is producing cortisol, you are going to feel stressed and anxious, even if nothing's going on. So we always recommend if people have chronic stress and chronic anxiety, do the lab work. Thyroid can make it harder to deal with stress. Low DHEA makes it harder to deal with stress. High cortisol makes you stressed. Some of the nutrient deficiencies, the B vitamins play a huge role.
Huge.
In stress relief.
Huge.
So B vitamins are essential for the nervous system. And the nervous system is, of course, a big part of your stress response. So you definitely want to do lab work if you've had a chronic stress.
All right.
Yeah.
Great question. Can what you eat cause stress? And is there any foods that can help with stress?
Well, obviously, if you eat something that causes a GI distress or makes you uncomfortable in that respect, yes. And we know now that there's a big link between the gut and the brain. You know,
Right.
Research has found that. They show that, so what you eat actually affects what's going on in the good bugs in your gut actually do most of the digestion, a lot of the digestion for us, a lot of it, let's put it that way. And so they need certain nutrients and so on. So if you eat something that upsets them, they can't make the chemicals that the brain needs to stay focused and do its job, like the gamma aminobutyric acids and so on. So if you can't do that, if you can't make serotonin, then yeah, you're going to be stressed. So what you eat, yes, definitely can. And can you eat something that helps? They always call them the comfort foods.
Yeah.
Although
most of the comfort foods actually make stress worse because they're sugar and carbs, and they're inflammatory.
But they do a temporary thing.
Temporary. They increase
no
serotonin temporarily.
The ice cream or the Cinnabon, that all that tastes great, right?
Yeah.
But then 30 minutes later, your body's going like, oh my God, what'd they do to me?
So
it's really,
inflammation, stress can be both emotional or physical. So anything that causes inflammation can definitely cause a stress response as well. And like you said, gut issues are a big example because if you have a gluten problem, and most people do, and then you eat gluten and you have a stomach issue, well, yes, that's going to cause stress to the body. Stress is, like I said, could be physical or it can be emotional. It can be either. So that is going to make you worse. Now, foods that can maybe help is things that help probiotics, which is your fermented foods, things that are the onions and garlic and things like that are really good for they're good prebiotics. They feed your good bacteria.
Right. And
so getting the good bacteria up really does help with stress because the gut in the brain definitely have and the brain chemicals make a big difference in how you handle stress.
Can too much stress be dangerous?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's long-term stress, like she was talking about the chronic stress, and we see this a lot. Like I say, we do that cortisol. We kind of years ago we just cut. We'd do the spot cortisol, and you'd see some patients, if they complained about it or said something about it, and then. So we finally decided, okay, let's just put that on every panel because we've started finding a lot of people who didn't complain of the stress and so on. Their cortisol was either sky high or rock bottom, one of the two.
Yeah.
And that causes a real problem with the body, so physiologically. So we started doing it just routinely, and so we saw this, and it really, really, really made a big difference when we started spotting. Because if you fix that, then the rest of the body comes along pretty easily, or better, let's put it that way.
There's no doubt. I mean, when you actually help the adrenals, you can help a lot of the other effects that it has on the body. And you ask if it can be dangerous. Yes. People, and I've had a few people over the years that have come in and was in the middle of one of these, and it's kind of amazing. It's basically a heart attack due to stress. You don't have to, people think of heart attacks as always being blockages. That's not true. And most of the time it is. But you can actually have what they call a vasospasm, which means one of the arteries get basically closed down. It constricts so much because you tend to get vasoconstriction under stress. So if it closes down so much it cuts off blood flow, you have a heart attack. And I've had people that have come in like they had every symptom of a heart attack and they're young, and I'm like, and then sure enough we sent them to the emergency room and they were having a heart attack. And usually it's after a fight or with somebody, an argument, something extreme happens. But your body can have a heart attack due to stress. So that is true that, oh, you're going to give me a heart attack. When people say somebody stressed them out or something. That
really
can happen.
Wow.
It is not the everyday occurrence, but that just shows you what stress can do to you. And there's no doubt stress affects high blood pressure.
My next
Oh
question
my
I was
gosh.
about to ask.
No
just
doubt.
about to ask that. I was waiting.
I think, yeah.
Jump in there with
I
that.
think probably a
doubt.
lot of people, we see a lot of people with high blood pressure, the cortisol's high. And even people that come to us that's on all multiple medications and they're still high. And when we do something to lower the cortisol, it controls it. So it definitely affects blood pressure.
Right.
And then blood pressure starts affecting everything else too.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
it can affect the kidneys, it can affect the heart, it can, so it's a never-ending cycle. Then if you have the cortisol high, it affects your blood sugar and can make you diabetic. So it all affects it. Yeah.
Wow. All right, it's 17 minutes after 9 o'clock. Our phone lines are open at 896-0713 or 800-349-0713. We're talking about stress, as April is National Stress Awareness Month. If you have any questions, please feel free to pick up the phone and give us a call. We're going to take our final break here and come back with a special for you for this week. I almost have a feeling I know what it is.
I don't know.
Never know.
And welcome back. It's our final segment of this morning's Doctor's Nutrition Show. We're talking about stress and what you can do to alleviate it, maybe decrease it somewhat before it gets too detrimental to your health. One of the things are the proper supplements, and that's what our special of the week is, theanine.
Yeah, L-theanine is an amino acid that calms the brain activity. That's just think of it that way. That's the easiest way to think of it. It calms that brain down. When there's a lot of activity going on there, from a lot of input, a lot of stressors coming in at you, then theanine just kind of calms it down, keeps you focused, helps you stay focused.
The good thing about theanine is it doesn't make you
drowsy or
tired.
anything.
Yeah, it doesn't make you sleepy. You can actually take it, and you can take it as needed. So it's one that you can take, like some things you have to take on a daily basis for it to work.
Right.
Theanine, you don't. I mean, you can take it on a daily basis. It's one of the safest things you can take because it has, I mean, really, we give it to little bitty kids, and there's no medications you don't have to stop it with. I mean, it goes with any medication. It is so safe, it is so easy, and it's used for panic attacks, but it's also used for focus. Yeah, and what it does, it calms the brain down, and it makes you just focused, and it makes the anxiety go way down. And so theanine can be a lifesaver to a lot of people. Now, there's some other supplements we're going to talk about too that can also help with stress.
Well, I think one of the biggies, and you touched on it a little bit ago, is the B vitamins. B vitamins are huge. I mean, especially your B12 and your folate. Those things are huge as far as the brain and the nervous system works. I mean, without them, that brain and nervous system's not going to work good.
Well, and you got pantothenic acid, which is always part of a B complex.
Right.
And pantothenic acid is known to actually help calm those adrenals.
Right.
So it actually helps adrenals both ways.
I take methylcore every day.
Now, methylcore gives you the B12 and folate, and it does give you some other stuff. That's to lower homocysteine more. But like I said, we even have something called daily stress formula, which is a lot of B vitamins, but also some of the adaptogens.
Right.
And then you get into the adaptogens. Our cortisol soothe is really good at that, but you do want to make sure your cortisol's high, so you want to check that first. Ashwagandha is one of the main ingredients. You can take rhodiola, the magnolia, I mean, all that, and the theanine is actually in cortisol soothe as well. Now, GABA, he mentioned earlier too, GABA definitely slows cortisol. So it's actually really good at calming. Sometimes it will make you sleepy though. Then you have kava. Kava is kind of your natural anti-anxiety. And it really does. Now, the longer you take it, if you take too much of it all the time, it gets to where it don't work as well. Theanine does not do that. So, but kava can be taken, periodically as needed for stressful events as well.
Right, it really can. And we've used it for, used to be a lot of negative press about kava. We've used it for
years.
20-some years.
Yeah. Very safe and
Very safe.
recommended dosages.
Right, right.
Question from a viewer, and I think our special of the week probably answers this. While in a stressful situation, is there something you can do or take to calm down?
Actually,
the theanine's really good for that.
Or the kava. Kava might be a little more sedative and stronger, but theanine, if you have to be aware and awake and you have to be like at work and you don't want to be out of it, then definitely do theanine. Or GABA also can be taken. Another thing that really helps with stress is CBD. I mean, everybody's probably heard that by now because you see it everywhere, but it does help calm.
It does.
So it's one that can be used as well. Now, another one that we use that is for anxiety, but it's also for depression, is 5-HTP. Now, 5-HTP helps people handle stress better. especially if somebody's went through a
That's why I take it twice a day.
Yeah. If somebody's went through a death or something that was sudden, and we always usually use 5-HTP because it helps both the anxiety and the depression. So it's one, but it is one that you have to take day in, day out to get the results you want. You can't just take it as needed. The kava you take as needed, the theanine as needed, the GABA as needed. So those are more things that you can just take when you need it instead of all the time. But 5-HTP is one that you can take. You cannot take it though if you're on an antidepressant.
Right.
Yeah.
So with 5-HTP, those people who are on antidepressants cannot take it because then you can get too much serotonin.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a lot of natural things that you can do for calming. And another big one, we didn't mention it, magnesium.
Huge.
Magnesium is great at calming the body. And it's something probably everybody should be taking every day anyway because it's deficient in 90% of Americans.
Yeah.
So magnesium is used in over 300 different processes in the body, so it's very important on how the body works.
Yeah, like you said, we've said before, it's a cofactor, so it's used in so many different areas. And without it, if you don't have that cofactor, then that means
a lot of
that
things don't
factor
work.
don't work. You know, I mean, if you've got a process going on, and it needs magnesium, and you don't have enough magnesium to go around, and your body kind of want to prioritize that thing, it'll use the magnesium where it has to have it most. Like for instance, think cardiovascular. It's going to try to prioritize it for that, kind of for that reason. So it may let something else go, and for that reason, a lot of other things cannot work very well, and that's a really good one. There's a special kind of magnesium, especially for the brain, and it's called magnesium threonate.
Yep.
It's kind of pricey, but great. I mean, it crosses that blood-brain barrier so much better than any of the other forms of magnesium, and it really does a good job in helping with the brain function.
Then you even have like glycine, which is an amino acid that calms. I mean, ornithine is an amino acid that calms. We have so many things that are calming. There really are. So it depends on the person which one might be best for you, and depending on what other factors are going on. And one reason we always do your lab work. And
I was just going to ask you again.
We always say do the lab work.
Do you recommend getting some lab work done?
Oh yeah.
Definitely if you have chronic stress. If you have stress that just does not go away, and you just, you're like, I don't even know where this is coming from, and I never don't feel anxious, you do want to do the lab work because you want to see what might be affecting it.
Another question from a viewer, does theanine interact with any other medication?
No, that's the good thing about theanine.
Not that we know of. It's never been anything shown yet, and that's a good thing because you can take it with so many things. Like for instance, the 5-HTP, no, you can't use it with SSRIs and so on.
Yeah.
But with the theanine, it's one of those things, and like I said, we've given it to 3 and 4 and 5-year-olds, simply because their hyperactivity and so on.
We actually have it on a liquid with GABA, GABA and theanine together, where you can squirt it in the kid's mouth to kind of calm them down a little bit. So we have a lot of people that, exactly.
I mean,
so
a true chill pill.
it's a chill,
And the good thing about
great.
theanine is the safety of it. They've never been able to find what they call an LD50, which that's a lethal dose at 50%, and believe it or not, water has an LD50. So almost everything on earth, they can find what can be a toxic dose of it. They can't find one with theanine. No matter how much they give the little rats, they can't kill them. So that's a good thing.
Wow.
So it's safe, very safe. That's one reason we put it on sale today, because it was like something anybody can take, and it is very safe.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that's a biggie, safety.
Right.
Well, we're going to be strolling right into May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I'm sure we'll be talking about that at some point next month. But first thing we'll do next Monday is we'll talk about anything.
Yeah.
Right, open line.
Open line Monday. So anything you want to talk about health-wise, feel free, or you can also email me ahead of time at jtaber@wlox.com. If you have any questions, you'll find a lot of information on YouTube for Doctors Nutrition when they have their podcast, Facebook, and more. So join us next Monday. Bye-bye.
For more information on highlighting your business and services on Healthy Living South Mississippi, contact Jim Tabor at 896-1313.